पठितमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुते स्मृते पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। Did we complete the Guru Stotram? Or four? All 14 are done, right? Okay, let's chant. अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन श्रीगुरवे नमः। सर्वश्रुतिशिरोरत्न विराजितपदाम्बुजः वेदान्ताम्बुजसूर्यो यः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यः शाश्वतः शान्तो व्योमातीतो निरञ्जनः बिन्दुनादकलातीतः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ज्ञानशक्तिसमारूढः तत्त्वमाला विभूषितः भुक्तिमुक्तिप्रदाता च तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अनेकजन्म सम्प्राप्त कर्मबन्धविदाहिने आत्मज्ञानप्रदानेन श्रीगुरवे नमः। शोषणं भवसिन्धोश्च ज्ञापनं सारसम्पदः गुरोपादोदकं सम्यक् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। न गुरोरधिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोरधिकं तपः तत्त्वज्ञानात् परं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे। But when the master is not there, then the Paduka Puja is done. The sandals of the master are worshipped. So for the student, the sandals are the altar of surrender. And all the values, vision, knowledge that the master is abiding in, it is a worship of that. So the worship of the Padukas is the internalization of all those values, the vision, the ideals. So let us learn the first one today. Ananta samsara samudratara naukayitabhyam guru bhaktidabhyam vairagya samrajyada pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Together we can chant. Ananta samsara samudratara Naukayitabhyam Guru Bhaktidabhyam Vairagya Samrajyada Pujanabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Sometimes we chant the last line 2 times. Kavitvavarashi Nishakarabhyam Daurbhagyadavam Buddhamalikabhyam Durikritanamra Vipattatibhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Together. Kavitvavarashi Nishakarabhyam Daurbhagyadavam Buddhamalikabhyam Durikritanamra Vipattatibhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam. Right. So we take up lesson number 5. So this 5th lesson begins with the very simple fact that the way we experience the mind, the way we experience the life is the way our mind is. So as we know, life is a series of experiences, and in the series of experiences, the experiencer contacting the experienced brings about the experience. So the experience is the world outside. Experiencer is the mind, I. How the mind is, the quality of the mind will determine the quality of my experiences and how I interact with the world. So the examples given there are: for the poet, the world appears in a specific way. It invokes creativity, poetry. For a scientist, the world is in a specific way, wants to discover, wants to understand the laws of nature. For somebody who is very positive in mind, the world is a world of opportunities. For somebody whose mind is negative, every situation in life also is a painful situation. One wants to avoid, one doesn't want to deal with it. So generally one tries to change the objective world outside. Change the people, change the situation, change the objects around, increase the type of facilities, which is only one aspect which can help, no doubt, to a certain extent. But in spite of all that changes that one does, if the mind inside is not strong enough, then a person will not be able to experience happiness. So this mind has to be rehabilitated. Last time we saw about the vasanas, which cause the mind to be the way it is. And then as we go along, we see how to purify the vasanas, how to make them reduce the vasanas, etc. Here Gurudev has given 3 very important principles. These are values, which are these 3 are the essence of all values given in our culture as well as in other cultures also. The fundamental principle behind this is master the mind, master the world. Win the mind, win the world. If the mind is one, if the mind is positive, the mind is enthusiastic, any situation in the world also is an opportunity. But if the same mind is negative, pessimistic, drained, stressed, the whole world outside is a chaos. So now how to rehabilitate this mind? There are 3 fundamental values. The essence of all the values comes back to these 3. And so Gurudev also used to call it as the pillars of Sanatan Dharma. 3 core values. And if we practice these three values, we are actually practicing all the values. So now what are these three values? So first one is brahmacharya. See, first and foremost, why should I practice a value? To face the challenges of life, a lot of inner strength is required. Just like we have food for the body, these values are that which will strengthen the mind and the whole personality aspect. We call them dharma. A person who follows dharma has a inner strength, has a fearlessness, has a courage to face life, and is able to deal with the challenges. When we break these values or we don't follow the value, then we create a rift in our own personality. So I know something is true, but I tell the lies. So now I have created a split. Same way I know that to be kind, to be loving, to be compassionate is what I expect. So I should also live like that. But when I break that value, I become cruel, I become angry, I hurt people, then it will pain me also. Because it's not possible to hurt anybody without hurting myself first. So these values are universal. And how do we know, how do we know which value to follow, which value to not follow? Simple principle is do unto others what you want them to do to you. So these values, once I understand that they make me strong in life. Today, one of the reasons why there is so much of stress, worry, tension, anxiety is because the inner strength is not there. Outside pressure is mounting, but inner strength is not corresponding. So one collapses. So these three values, they help us to do that. Make the body, mind, intellect integrated, make them strong, make them manifest their potential, and then face the challenges of life. And when each individual lives the values that way, definitely there is harmony and progress, prosperity in the society. So now these three values are at three levels. So brahmacharya is at the body level. That is a sannyasi actually. Brahmachari means some people may think that somebody who has a shaved off the hair, one choti is there, wearing some dhoti, wearing some special marks on the head, brahmachari. Or somebody who is not married, celibate. But brahmacharya is a different meaning. Uh, so first and foremost, brahmacharya is at the physical level, the discipline at the physical level. When I'm in contact with the world outside, see our senses are the means through which we contact the world. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, senses of knowledge. And each of them crave. Eyes want to see nice, nice things. One wants to see, television, movies, people, objects, so many things. Eyes want, they crave. The ears want to hear to nice music. The tongue so definitely wants lovely food, all different types of food. And to eat that food, one can travel where all one goes. To satisfy 2 inch of tongue. I'm not saying anything wrong, but I'm just saying that the senses they crave. And when the senses crave, one can't resist. If the thought comes in the mind that I want to eat pizza, I want to eat coffee, I drink coffee, I want to eat this. And what all delicacies nowadays human being needs. All combinations are possible now. Earlier dosa was only one. Simple. Plain dosa, masala dosa, rava dosa. Three categories. Now there are 100 categories. Dosa plaza is there full. Because human creativity wants to enjoy taste, different combinations will make. So for food, for music, for vision, for everything the human being wants. Smell, aromatherapy is there, and one has such, what is it called? Fragrance, that dispenser is there. You put some drops, perfume, diffuser. The whole place has to become very fragrant and flowers and all that. So senses they crave. And there's nothing wrong in enjoying also through the senses. Spirituality is not saying you don't enjoy the world. Bhagwan created a lovely world. Enjoy. But what is it saying? Don't get enjoyed by the world. Enjoy in such a way that the senses don't get depleted, energy doesn't get depleted, one doesn't get drained out at the end of it. How will one enjoy like that? When I enjoy in moderation. When I don't deny completely. If I deny completely, it leads to suppression. If I keep on indulging, I will become weak. I'm enslaved also mentally. Physically also, it will drain me. Think about it. When you start watching a movie, what is the energy level? Good. By the end of that movie, energy level becomes lesser or not. They give the interval in between so that you get a break from the movie. Go eat something, popcorn, this, that, come back. So one got a little break. Again recharge. Again sit and watch. And if you watch back-to-back shows, suppose you decide this is long weekend. Morning, Tashkent file. Afternoon, Kalam. Evening, whatever, some new movie. Whatever, what is the new movie which has come on? हाँ कलंक हो गया एक बार टैशकेंट हो गया कलंक हो गया अभी और some movie third movie and then one more night show 4 movies. What is the energy level in the first movie and by the end you finish 4, what happened? You have done nothing, you are only sitting watching, that's all. But what happened? Energy gets depleted. Sense enjoyment, when we don't engage in moderation, they will completely drain us, weaken the mind. That's why Gurudev used to say it's a proper word. It is called weakened because at the end of it you are weakened fully. So the mind has to be trained how to contact the sense objects. See, though the law of diminishing return works, along with the law of diminishing return, there's a law of diminishing energy also. The more I indulge, the more my energy becomes lesser. First rasgulla I eat, so nice. Second, third, fourth, fifth. By the time it comes to 10th, feel like vomiting also. Can't eat more. Rasgulla is the same. I am the same. But excessive indulgence leads to complete dissipation of energy. So how to enjoy without getting victimized by it, without getting completely enslaved by it? That is called brahmacharya. So it is not only absistence from carnal pleasure, it is the ability to contact the sense objects in an intelligent way. Where I drink, I eat, I enjoy, I dance, whatever I want I do, but everything in moderation. So any excess is a violation of brahmacharya. Suppose I go on talking. That's a violation of brahmacharya. Continuously I watch, binge watching that is called. And interesting it is. If you see now on Netflix, they will give a separate category, series for binge watching. Yeah. There is one category. So they put all different categories they put now. And according to your taste also they'll put up comedy, this is this, romance, this is this, thriller is this, whatever those categories. In that one category is series for binge watching. Matlab, you are encouraging people to keep watching. Obviously, that's what they want you to do. So one after the other, one starts one episode, let us say one series episode, one starts at night after dinner, one has started 9 o'clock, one starts. Binge watching means it will go on and on and on. At the end of that episode, you don't feel like leaving. Ab agi kya hua? Again you watch. Again one. So till next morning, 4 o'clock, one is just watching. And then one says proudly, at one go, I finished the whole series. Khatam ho gaya. But how much did I grasp? My grasping capacity keeps on reducing, depletes. I may get engaged in it because of the curiosity factor is there, and then I want to know what is going to happen. I may enjoy it also. But slowly, energy depletes. So brahmacharya is to watch in moderation. You'll enjoy it also more. See, the capacity, brahmacharya actually enhances my capacity to enjoy. It is not dissipation of energy. If I engage in it properly, my capacity to enjoy will become more. Like even food-wise, if I tell you, if you eat, when you follow some specific diet, then you enjoy that food also much more. You eat less quantity, but you enjoy more. Nowadays, there is one diet that a lot of people following. Yeah, that is what intermittent fasting one, no? Ketosis happens because of intermittent fasting, no? That you give long gaps. 8 hours gap. Yeah, they do different ratios they follow. This is so strange that we don't know only what to follow actually, because everybody keeps confusing us. At the body level itself, we don't have that much clarity. Then how will we have at mind and intellectual level? First, they said you should eat 3 times a day. So we're eating 3 times a day. Then they said, no, you have very long gap, 3 times a day. Not, you eat 8 times a day. So you eat 8 times a day. Then they say, no, you should not eat. Every time you eat food, the insulin is produced. So 8 times a day you should not eat. Now eat only 2 times a day. Arre Kamale, decide one thing and tell properly. Why is our body becoming such a tool for experimenting for you? And every diet works such a nice way in the beginning, and one rush is there for it. And then it comes crashing down saying these are limitation of it. First they said till 12 o'clock eat only fruit. Then you eat cooked food. One goes on following so many. So brahmacharya actually is to understand intelligently how to connect with the sense objects in moderation, enhance the capacity to enjoy. So when I eat, in the diet I was giving the example, suppose I am told that you have to eat only this much. And we have to chew it also, eat properly also. Earlier quantity I am eating much more, not enjoying so much. Then the quantity becomes lesser, chew it more, enjoy it, eat mindfully. So there's so much more enjoyment in that. And especially, if you do this long gap, 16 hours, after that when you eat food, one is hungry. It tastes so good, no, after that. So the idea is that how do I contact the sense objects? If I contact in moderation, my capacity to enjoy them increases, 1. 2, I conserve a lot of energy. And 3, I also create more energy. One of the most important benefits of brahmacharya is creation of more energy. Person will become strong at the body level, physical level. Because of moderation, not because of indulgence. The equation in our mind should be moderation is equal to enjoyment, not excessive indulgence is equal to enjoyment. Generally, one thinks eat, drink excessively and you will become happy. खाओ पियो मौज करो. कितना खाओ कितना पियो, that is important. Then मौज करो. If you do excessive खाओ excessive पियो, then gone. Now please remember one important point. This is for that enjoyment which is good for us, which is called permitted pleasure. Don't say, Swamiji, you told everything in moderation, so I'm smoking in moderation, drinking in moderation. No, no, no. What is not good for me is banned. Brahmacharya means two things: saying no to what is harmful and enjoying everything that is permitted in moderation. That is called Brahmacharya. What is harmful should just be avoided. Why should I even take it? It's harming my body, it is harming my mind also. Now, when we are young, then we like very spicy food, oily food, chili and garam masala and all that. And after some time, what happens? Acidity in the stomach. Stomach is burning. As we grow up, then slowly, slowly, it all has to come down. Now, I know one person, he used to sit just opposite to me in the Vedanta course, 2 years Vedanta course when we studied at Powai. So at that place, this gentleman used to come and sit in front of me. So when we are studying there is normal food which is made and there is some bland dal and sabji also which is there. So I will go and take sometimes the normal food and evening will be bland food. So just take. And the gentleman will come and sit right opposite me. With the normal food, he has green chili. How many you know? Per meal he consumes minimum 50 green chilies. 50, 50. Even today is there. You can go and see him. He eats minimum 50 green chilies. I will put it in the whole sabji also, dal also, chas also, rice also, and with roti separately eating that. 50 green chilies minimum. And his eyes will be watering. His face will be red, but he will eat. So I asked him one day, sir, how are you managing to eat this much green chili? He said, Swamiji, my father used to eat like this. And he lived for 100 years. I don't know whether he is eating that to live for 100 years or not, but he is eating it. 50 green chilies. Wow. हाँ? Oh, ऐसा हो गया अभी? अरे रामा. That's what he's saying. You just imagine 50 green chilies per meal means what it is. Excessive, na? That excessive indulgence leads to what? Ultimately, this is what happens, that the dissipation of the energy happens and senses become depleted. You know, this, our phone also. One of the biggest violation of brahmacharya in today's age is phone. How much one goes on seeing, and that radiation comes, it affects the eyes. Do you know there is that, why they say that just before sleep, one should not use the phone? Because the blue color light and the radiation that comes from it doesn't allow the hormone of sleep to come. One is awake. One can't sleep fast. So they say minimum half an hour before you should stop using the phone, and especially at night, you know, when you switch off the light to go to sleep, that time to not to use the phone at all. There's documented research and evidence available for it. So the more I go on indulging, my eyes also become drained. So brahmacharya will conserve the senses, conserve my energy, enhance my capacity to enjoy, make me more strong. So moderation is a very, very important aspect. In today's life, especially what is happening, we are swinging between extremes. 6 days a week, we don't sleep properly. 7th day, sleep, oh, sleep. 6 days, we don't eat properly. 7th day, attack. So much extreme. So moderation is a very, very important value we have to set for ourselves. It doesn't depend on world outside. There may be certain pressures from world outside, no doubt, but enjoyment and engagement with sense objects is in my choice, my control it is. So in Gita, Bhagavan says this, for a spiritual seeker especially, moderation is a very important value. Yuktahara viharasya. In moderate amount, one has to have food, ahara. Moderate amount, exercise. Yuktahara viharasya. Yukta cheshtasya karmasu. Moderate amount of work. Neither less or lazy nor overworking. Yukta swapna. Moderate amount of sleep. Yukta avabodha. And moderate amount of spiritual practice also. If one does this in moderation, what will happen? Yogo bhavati dukkha. This moderation yoga will destroy all the sorrows. But if one does extremes, one of the best examples for this is Gautam Buddha. So Gautam Buddha was living in a palace in the kingdom, enjoying a lot, and he had not seen the world of suffering. Then when he saw old man, dead man, sick man, he transformed. He renounced and he wanted to know what is the truth of life. So when he went, he practiced a lot of austerities. And he came to a point where he practiced extreme austerity. He stopped eating. He became so weak, his bones, etc., were visible. There's one painting of that. Even some statues are there. Buddha is almost like a skeleton because he stopped eating food. Because he said, food when I am eating, that is giving energy to this mind, and then this mind is playing all the tricks. So I will cut the source of energy for the mind. No food. So he became so weak, he could not even sit for meditation. He started feeling giddy and he was falling unconscious. So one day when he was in such a condition, he saw that there was somebody who sells this tanpura. He came with one bag, what is it called? Basket full of tanpuras. It was hot sun, so he came, was taking the shade below the tree. He sat down there, he drank some water, and then he took out one tanpura and he tries to tune it. So the wire was very, very loose. So he tried to play the music, nothing was coming out. Then he tightened the knob. And as he was tightening the knob, what he did, he tightened it a lot. So what happened? The wire broke. Then he took another wire, he placed it, and he was slowly tightening it. And when it came to the appropriate tension, he just left it. When Buddha was seeing this, then he understood neither loose nor tight, just right. That's the balance that one has to come to. Neither suppression nor complete excessive indulgence, moderation. Now, obviously, each one's level of moderation also is different, capacity is also different. So each one has to come to moderation on one's own, that this is my middle path. Like sleep, somebody requires 8 hours of sleep, somebody requires 7 hours of sleep, somebody requires 6 hours of sleep. For them, that is moderation. 10 hours of sleep is excessive, 4 or 5 hours of sleep is denial. What is the middle path? So one should identify in these 5 areas. In food, what is my moderation? In sleep, what is moderation? In exercise, what is moderation? Suddenly, if you go to the gym and start doing 1.5 hours of workout, after the second day, you can't go to the gym because the body will pain. One has to do slowly. One can't start lifting the weights also. immediately. Slowly, slowly. Capacity has to build. So I should know what is my moderation. So food, sleep, exercise, work. In work also there should be moderation. Today's life is so stressed out because excessive it is, workaholism. And then they'll tell you work-life balance, seminar on work-life balance. To attend that seminar on work-life balance also I have to create imbalance in my life and go there. Work-life balance. But that is necessary, work-life balance. I'm told that in some countries, they work only Monday to Friday. Saturday, Sunday, they don't work. They take off. And I also heard some of the countries, they have banned that you can't even call. Saturday, Sunday, you cannot call the employees. Because otherwise, the efficiency goes down. If one is all the time hooked on to work, efficiency will go down. Many of them, they tell you to take a break. Every 1 hour they have some music which is playing. Suddenly 5 minutes, one music plays. So at that time you're supposed to get up from the seat, go. In computer they have like that, to avoid sedentary lifestyle. Sometime back I used to use one app is there in Apple. It is called Timeout. So if you activate that app, you can set your timing. 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, whichever timing you want. After every 1 hour, let us say, your computer screen will freeze for whatever time you set, 2 minutes or some amount. It will just freeze, nothing you can do. And you can set a nice music also at that time. So you set a music, you don't do anything, listen to it, keep your eyes closed, or you get up, walk, drink some water, come back. Idea is to break free from this sedentary lifestyle. So in work also there needs to be moderation. Sleep. So what did you say? Food, sleep, exercise, work, and spiritual practice. 5 things Gita says that instead of meditating, some people are there like that. They do like cumulative meditation. On Sunday, they will meditate for 1.5 hours. And 6 days of the week, no meditation. That doesn't work. Better it is to meditate 10 minutes every day than to do cumulative meditation of 1 hour in 1 week. So 10 minutes every day. And 6th one is speech. Moderation in speech. Absolutely important. Adequate communication, neither less nor more. Some people go on talking. In question answer session we have, so one of the things that we do in question answer is we tell people, please write the question and give. Because sometimes they get up and they go on talking. We don't know whether he's talking, he's asking, what is he doing? So better you write and give, because then one has to think clearly and write. So moderation in these 6 aspects, I should identify these and then commit to that. I will live in moderation. So this is called brahmacharya. Now when this happens,
give full time to that passion. Cricket, people like cricket, play 5 hours. Don't do anything else.
No, that is proper. Moderation does not deny you following the passion. So if 5 hours cricket you play or 6 hours cricket you play, because that is focus. You are giving your full attention to develop in that field. That is not excessive indulgence. But if that person is playing like 18 hours, 19 hours and just not taking enough rest and then, full time getting exhausted with that, then that is a breaking of brahmacharya. 5, 6 hours, 8 hours is not a problem. What is the principle behind brahmacharya? It should not lead to excessive indulgence. Paying your full attention to it, absorbed in that, giving your whole being to that, for that much time. That is what Vedanta also tells us. No, ekagrata is that only. Focus, yeah. That is not a problem. But when one loses the perspective, one is not eating properly, not sleeping properly, not having enough social life, not having proper relationships, just become completely, which is what even today management will also tell us, that an overall growth is an important aspect. For a specific time in a day, yes, fully I give myself to a certain thing, which is my passion. But it should not be at the cost of other things, which are the bigger picture of life. Like 10th standard when it comes, Bapre, what happens? I don't know. People think that this child has to study. He's a horse like this. Only 10th standard study, nothing else. You can't turn. And if that child does something else, the parent is more tense. Arey, ye kya kar raha hai? You just think it's just one standard. And marks are an entry point to start something or to get some admission in a decent educational institution. It means nothing else. But Bapre, how much pressure? And there are enough examples of people who have not even passed 10th standard but achieved great success. But we don't have confidence. We say, nahi, you are not like that. You need a backup of security, of marks, of good, education, and then job, and then money and all. I'm not saying don't get them a good education, but sometimes how much? You just look at that. No, I don't know if I told you here, but 6th standard onwards that IIT training is starting. What is this? 6th standard, 7th standard, 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard. Or kitna saal karega IIT? By the time he actually comes to IIT, he'll be fed up. This IIT is the reason because of which my life got completely spoiled. But this is called excess, no? How much pressure is created? And now I'm told on 8th standard also they are trying to bring board exam. Ye kya hai? In 10th standard, 12th standard was not enough to create pressure. Now 8th also, 9th also. Then what is this? This is called excess. The brahmacharya is gone. Earlier we just happily enjoyed our childhood. Then went into LKG, UKG. Now the preparation starts from 6 months onwards. Child is 6 months old, वहां से उसका training चालू होता है. You just see now, that is called excess thing. So if I identify what is my passion, engage in it, not at the cost of the rest of the balance of life. That is called brahmacharya.
There's also, when you read those chapters, the amount of the words used as passion and ideal. So how that in common terms we use passion for doing something, but in Vedanta it is more the word used more is ideal than the word passion. Somewhere it's also written passion is follow means like passion in the negative connotation, not in a positive.
So both are there, no? Now in the word passion itself has both connotations. One is passion is used in terms of lust and passion. Other is passion is follow your heart, follow what you really love to do and do it with full absorption. So depends on which context that one is meaning.
Passion in the negative sense is what is more considered when you use the word passion in the textual manner.
In this chapter you are saying?
Generally the word passion is considered in a negative connotation, whereas as humans we also think I'm passionate to work. Like
yeah.
Example is that if you are doing passionate on cricket, so you put more effort on that.
Correct. So that change has now come about. That's a positive aspect, which is how the vocabulary has evolved in usage. If you see, in the earlier days, the word passion was a negative connotation. And this course material is written by Gurudev in that era, in 60s. But today the word passion has become much more positive. Yeah.
So it's basically more of ideal.
Yeah, what we want to achieve, what I really love, in that sense. So moderation comes when I balance my passion with my overall life.
I always heard something you need to think of increasing, but even here is mentioned on moderation.
Yeah, in spirituality, what is to be increased? As we go higher and higher, the ability to withdraw my senses must increase. Single pointedness must increase. Selflessness must increase. But in food, sleep, speech, etc., moderation is a first step before I come into intensity. If I reduce my food, my sleep, not because I'm wanting to increase my spirituality, but it happens automatically as a result of increasing my intensity. The more I meditate, the more I live in self-control, my need for sleep becomes lesser. It becomes automatic. Right now, what is happening is we are engaging in two other extremes. Either we go on indulging or we completely deny forcefully. In spirituality, neither of this will happen. Automatically, my need for sleep will reduce. My craving for certain types of food, enjoyment will not be there only. Because the mind has tasted something higher. You know, the amount of time that one spends, which one used to spend earlier in sense enjoyments, automatically will reduce. Why? Because like we don't play with childhood toys anymore. How we have risen above it? Now there's no question of moderation. Because one has risen above it. One has dropped the need for it. That is how it will happen in spirituality. As one grows, automatically the things will start dropping and the higher things will become more intense. So today meditation 10 minutes I'm able to do. But as I keep developing more selflessness, self-control, I will be able to meditate much more. As I meditate much more, the cravings for sense objects will come down. So I don't even feel like going, enjoying, indulging outside that much. Basic things I may do, that's all. So that is the intensity that develops as we keep progressing in spiritual path. But first step I would have to do is come to moderation. There should not be suppression, there should not be complete indulgence, there has to be moderation. The next step of moderation is spiritual development, increase in the intensity. So now moderation we saw. Now what happens with this? The word brahmacharya, when I live in moderation, I conserve energies, I become mentally, physically also strong. What happens with that? As I'm enjoying it, I rise above the need for it. And slowly, as I connect with spiritual knowledge, satsang, etc., the mind learns to turn within. So the etymological meaning of brahmacharya is brahmani charati iti brahmachari. One whose mind revels in the Lord, whose mind revels in Brahman, is called a brahmachari. And where is that Lord? In my own heart. So the ability to turn the body, mind and the senses within is the result of brahmacharya. Because if I have constant craving, will I be able to sit quietly and turn the attention within? Not possible. If the mind constantly wants to eat, drink, see this, do this, go there, become that, then that mind is going to rush out. It can't turn within. So the result of brahmacharya is intelligent self-restraint with moderate enjoyment. Slowly, the mind, the appetite, the cravings of the mind reduce. And that mind is able to turn within. I'll just show you one video of Gurudev, where you see the person who is trying to meditate has not mastered the mind yet. And the mind is constantly getting extroverted.
There's a great Rishi said, why is it that these people, man, suffering until because of his ignorance? He refuses to make use of his intellectual capacity to analyze. He is very good in analyzing the outer world. Science, he progresses, but when he turns upon himself, he feels unhappy and incapacitated, as it were. He never turns his attention to it. Vimudhaha tanupashyanti. Visheshena mudha. Supreme idiots never understand this great truth. Gita says, supreme idiot means not that you are incapable of wisdom, but you refuse to think. What can you do? You are so preoccupied with the world of seeking a permanent happiness amidst impermanent things. So fully engaged that your attention cannot be turned away. When they have thus understood it, they realized that so long as I am identified with the body, mind and intellect, I am in that realm of time, change. So if I want a changeless state of bliss and happiness, I must go beyond the change. Beyond change means beyond the time. Oh, I see. And go beyond BMI. You realize the timeless, the permanent, the eternal, the immutable, the bliss. Okay, Swamiji. This Sunday. Now today I have got office. This weekend I'm going to meditate and go beyond the BMI and realize the Brahman. And Monday onwards, I will tell you all about Brahman. This weekend I am visiting Brahman. And you enthusiastically declare to the family that, look, tomorrow Sunday, see that the children go out and play. And you also keep quiet. Don't break saucers and plates and make noises here. Not even the bathroom flush should be wet. I am going to meditate. So the poor wife thinks that this is a new trick. And your early morning onward children have started asking you, Papa, when are you meditating? Not now. After breakfast. Always know that breakfast idea will disturb. So you take breakfast, everybody gives breakfast, and everybody has got a strange look on their eyes, looking at you that you are going to meditate. No, I don't know what is meditation, you don't know, but... And you enter. Children have been sent to the neighbor's house. There they may suffer. You are all right. And then when you are entering the room also, you told the wife. The wife also. She doesn't want to sit down because the cushions may make a noise. You go into the room, lock the room. What are you going to do? Go beyond the BMI in pure meditation. You sit down and you have heard that the great mantra is Hari Om, and you have started chanting in your mind, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Then the body said, "Hi, it is too hard." So immediately I said, okay, I got up. The seat is not all right. So put a cushion there. And in the cushion you sat down. And again, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Then your skin told you, I think it is too hot. And you said, yes, it is hot. So you got up, put on the fan, the ceiling fan, and you are sitting there. Hari Om, Hari Om. Suddenly the skin said, it is too fast. So you got up, slowed it down, sat down. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Then it is that the vertebral column is saying that if there is a cushion behind, it will be nice. So you get up and get the cushion and to support your back. Again, sit down. Hari Om, Hari Om. Look, you are a slave to all the demands. That is the point. So long as you are a slave, you will not be allowed to go out. Why? Because the BMI can no longer persecute you. You are trying to become master of them. They are now today masters in you. They don't want to give up their chair. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. I think there is coffee decoction in the kitchen. And that woman is so careless that she will throw it away in the wash basin. 1 cup of hot coffee and then meditate. How nice. You get up, you open the door, and the lady is worried. Now what is coming out? It must be God himself coming out. No, nothing. And you make directly to the kitchen. So she comes behind. Seva bhav. What do you want, honey? I will give you. No, I don't want anything. But I thought that if there is decoction there and all, then don't throw it away. Nowadays the prices are very high. A cup of coffee, you go inside. Do you think that we can? The more you try to meditate, the more the mind will persecute. At this moment, even though I am allowed to say that this body, mind and intellect are mine, honestly speaking, I belong to them. I am not a slave. The local constitution may give you all the freedom. It is the freedom of the slave. None of us is free. All of us are after silent slaves, hapless slaves, miserable slaves to our own physical, mental and intellectual persecution.
Such a nice example, no? So much persecution happens of our own body, mind and intellect. Then we try to meditate. How will it work? So brahmacharya, satyam and ahimsa are at 3 different levels to tune this equipment. Then when I sit to meditate, it will work well. So the first level is at the physical level, moderation, so that moderation will help me to turn the mind within. And as then the mind turns within and it revels in brahmacharya, Brahman, then that is actually called brahmacharya, Brahmani charati. One whose mind engages in the Supreme Lord is actually a brahmachari. Externally, maybe whatever the situation of that person, maybe a householder, maybe a grihasthi, sannyasi, but the mind revels in Brahman. That's the etymological meaning of brahmacharya. Otherwise, from the ashram standpoint, it is first stage of life, 25 years, where one has gone to study, to gain the knowledge. That's the from ashram standpoint. From this spiritual practice standpoint, it is moderation in everything. And from Vedantic standpoint, when we say it is reveling the mind in Brahman. So this is a value to be practiced at the body level. Now we come to the next one, ahimsa. So what is ahimsa? Ahimsa means non-violence. Now non-violence, is it possible to practice complete non-violence at the physical level? Yes or no? No? How many say no? How many say yes? Okay, good. So why yes, why no? First tell yes. Yes, people can tell us.
whatever, if we firmly believe and we think, yes, I am going to do this, definitely a person can do it.
Complete non-violence at physical level. That's the ideal.
Though I have not done it, I'm just saying.
No, that is a different matter. Yeah, but right now we are talking about the possibility. That is it possible to live 100% non-violent?
You should not hurt anybody, either physically or
Correct.
emotionally.
That is emotionally, we'll come to that point. I'm right now questioning that physical level, is it possible to live ahimsa 100%? Those who say no, what is the reason? So that is one aspect. Unknowingly I am hurting. But am I also hurting knowingly?
Your own self. One's own self also one doesn't inflict bodily pains.
Okay. Okay. But that is, one is putting that hard work to achieve a goal. No? Any other way in which I am knowingly also creating violence at the physical level?
Something like hitting an insect or a mosquito, for example. It's also you're killing a.
Yeah, violence. So knowingly also I kill, unknowingly also I destroy. Any other ways in which I... No, physical level, physical level. People in the army, understandable. I am talking about our day-to-day life.
In a short time, we want to finish on so many things. Really, our body, sending a dozen body, we want to do it. If we hurt ourselves.
Okay, and correct. We heard. Then?
Say no to somebody else. Okay, somebody is misusing us.
No. But that is natural. No, if somebody exploiting me, I have to defend. I have to say no.
It's like some sharing friends are there, they don't eat fruits because there are too many small organisms which die because of them. But we are still consuming potatoes.
Yeah, so my existence itself is impossible without physical violence. Minimum violence I can do, 100, that is possible. But 100% non-violence at the physical level is impossible. Because for me to live, life subsists on life. The only choice is less violence or more violence. Absolutely no violence is impossible because this body will live on that. The food that I eat itself will create violence. And there, the reasoning behind the Jain system is this, very beautiful reasoning it is. That even there, can I do minimum violence? So the food that grows below the ground, if you eat that food, you have to destroy the whole plant. Like potato, you have to uproot that whole thing. Then only you will get that potato. Onion, you have to uproot. Beetroot, uproot. That is dead. It can't grow further. But the food that grows above the ground, there, let us say it is a plant or a creeper or a tree, you can pluck. The tree is still there. So between uprooting and completely destroying and taking only a part, there is a choice of less violence here and more violence there. But absolutely no violence is not possible. So that's why ahimsa is more of a mental quality. That does not mean that at physical level keep doing violence. No, that is already understood in brahmacharya that one should not do that. That live in moderation, do absolutely minimum violence. Don't keep on doing violence. Don't keep doing, don't live in this illusory thing that absolutely no violence I will do. That both are extremes. Minimum violence is what I can do at the physical level. So for that, I should be sensitive. That at physical level, what kind of violence it is, where all I'm hurting or harming or destroying creatures, I should reduce that. So they have some of the very nice practices that one can apply. If one is convinced by that, and one applies that. So if there is, you have a hot plate, let us say, you have heated something, a hot plate is there, you put it in the sink. Don't turn on the tap. These are small practices, but very sensitivities. Why? Because the plate is hot. Water has living organisms. Now you're putting them on hot plate. They will die. So let that plate cool down on its own. Wash it after some time. Like that, there are many small things. So when the Mahasatijis and Maharaj Sahib, when they walk also, they have that thing which will clean the path, so that the living beings on the way don't get crushed under their feet. They clean. Like that, they practice many things for physical non-violence. So whichever we are able to win, whichever way we are able to practice physically to be non-violent, to reduce the violence, that we should practice. And that is where the choice of vegetarianism and non-vegetarianism also comes. See, it is not only at the body level, but it is also at the mind level. Kindness, compassion, sensitivity is a very big factor. That is what distinguishes us as human beings. As we grow in sensitivity, we will automatically let go of some of these where we know it is hurting, it is creating violence. Of course, each one's choice. That's each one grows in their sensitivity, then they will make their own choices. But ahimsa here, when we say ahimsa, is a predominantly mental value where I don't intend or I don't cause injury to anybody through my negative thoughts, through my speech, through my agitated actions, disturbed performance. No, don't hurt. And if somebody has hurt me, I don't harbor the quality of revenge, but I invoke a quality of forgiveness, compassion. Now, one part of this, one aspect of ahimsa is non-violence at the mental level, minimum violence at the physical level. But this also does not mean that one will allow people to exploit, and one will allow people to come and completely destroy us. This is what happened in our country. The misunderstanding of ahimsa allowed the invaders to come into our country and rule over us. In the name of ahimsa, we allowed it. See, physically also, if our immune system stops fighting, what will happen to us? We will collapse. We will just die. Every single moment while I am living, for me to live, there is so much of fighting that is already happening between the immune system and the germs and the bacteria and the foreign particles. It is constantly happening. That is the defense mechanism. If the defense mechanism says ahimsa, it will just collapse. So in defense mechanism, what himsa is done is also ahimsa. Ahimsa does not mean only drop physical violence. If a surgeon is cutting open somebody's body, it is to save that person. That cannot be called as himsa. The intention is ahimsa only. If an army soldier has to fight at the border, the intention is protection of the country and the countrymen. That is ahimsa only. Like that, many examples. If for some reason violence has to be used, like a thief comes into my home and attacks me, will I say, no, I am follower ahimsa, do whatever you want? No. In self-defense, what I do is also ahimsa only. Because the intention is not to hurt. Even in law they have no culpable homicide not amounting to murder. So it's self-defense. So this interpretation of ahimsa is a very important aspect. If we misinterpret ahimsa, then we will suffer. As individuals, as a country also, we have suffered a lot. One of the very, very strong views, there are both views, each one is entitled to whichever view one has, one wants, but one view is that yes, there is no doubt that Mahatma Gandhi ji contributed a lot to our country's freedom movement, no doubt, and the whole Ahimsa movement was there. But the other view is that we actually got freedom because the British were threatened by Subhash Chandra Bose and the army that he created, and that it was very unsafe for the British after that. Clement Attlee, when he came to Kolkata, after India got free, after some years when he came to Kolkata, he openly said that India got freedom because of Subhash Chandra Bose, because the British were threatened by Subhash Chandra Bose. And they were not threatened by Mahatma Gandhi. If the revolutionary movement had not come up, India would have been enslaved for much more longer time. Actually, the revolutionary movement speeded up the freedom movement in that sense, and Ahimsa in some sense slowed it down. We would have got free much before. Subhash Chandra Bose had gone to these two islands, no, and he named them Shahid and Swaraj. And he declared India independent. When in the I don't remember the exact date, but somewhere in 30s. So there are both these views which are there. What is important to understand is 800 years of slavery we have gone through, or 1200 years of slavery that we have gone through. A lot of that we have gone through because of not understanding Ahimsa properly. So it has to be understood in the right context, that Ahimsa is predominantly at the mental level, no intention to hurt anybody, harm anybody. And when intention is not there, it will also not manifest at the physical level. If my intention is good, if my intention is to accommodate everybody, be loving, polite, at the physical level also I will be same. No? So when we say it is at the mental level, it is not to say that at the physical level do any violence. No, no. It will manifest at mental level and physical level both. Even at the physical level, because I don't want to hurt anybody, I don't want to harm anybody. At the body level also, one of the very important ways in which one understands that physical level also, how to live with more kindness, compassion with all the living beings around me, is because of this Ahimsa at the mental level. I will end today's session with this one beautiful video, a very, very powerful video this is.
Despite what you might be thinking, these two circles are not equal. Circles are not equal. One is in fact larger than the other. What I need you to do is determine which one that is. So, please raise your hand if you believe the blue circle is larger than the red. All right. Please raise your hand if you believe the red circle is larger than the blue. All right, very good. Now, before I said anything about these two circles, what was the first instinct? Equal, right? Because they look equal. And the reason why they look equal is because in fact they are equal. These two circles are identical. But I got just about every one of you to raise your hand and say that they're not. So what do we learn? That you can be manipulated like that to believe in something that goes against your natural instincts. Just imagine as a child you're taught that the blue circle is larger than the red. If you say it enough times, you convince yourself that it's true. If you're told the lie enough times, it becomes part of your reality. And if enough people are taught that lie, that the blue circle is larger than the red, well, now it becomes part of the culture. And if that culture then passes that misinformation along to the next generation, well, now it becomes tradition. And what we have to remember is that just because we have a tradition doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. Tradition and morality are not always the same. I mean, can you think of any traditions that we once had in the United States of America that we no longer have? That today we think back and that was immoral. Slavery, right? Less than 200 years ago. And that was a tradition. So the traditions we have today doesn't necessarily mean they're morally acceptable. And as we evolve as a culture, so do our traditions. Now, the Matrix is a story. It's a story. When told enough times to enough people, it becomes part of that culture. It becomes the tradition. And this story is being told over and over every day. In fact, if you believe the image on the carton is where you're getting your milk from, you're deceiving yourself. This is a fantasy. It only exists in your head. It's a blue pill fed to you by the industry to get you to buy their product. This is the Matrix, the lie we tell ourselves about where our food is coming from. The reality is far more disturbing. 90 to 95% of the milk, the meat, and the eggs that we consume in the United States are coming from these conditions. In fact, every year in the United States, 10 billion, right? 10 billion are being slaughtered for food. So what that works out to be is that every second in the United States, 300 animals are killed, just like that. So 300, 600, 900, 1,200. By the time I'm done talking today, there'll be over 1 million animals that have been slaughtered. And most of us don't even blink an eye. I mean, how is it possible that in the United States of America, we can slaughter 300 animals every second and not question that because of the story we've been told? The story justifies the action. If you say it enough times, you actually convince yourself that's the truth. How many of you were taught as a child you need to eat meat to get protein? I know I was. How many of you were taught you need to drink cow's milk to get strong bones? Not dog milk, not chimpanzee milk, not elephant milk, not rhino milk, not hippo milk, not tiger milk, not lion milk, not giraffe milk, not elephant milk. I said that, I think you get the point. Not even our own mother's milk, but we need to drink cow's milk to get strong bones. The absurdity of drinking the milk from any other species and any other being besides our own mother, when it's said enough times, loses its absurdness. Now, the first thing we've been taught is that our diet is natural. We eat meat, dairy, and eggs, so therefore it must be natural. So let's find out. You have two images on the wall. I want you to tell me all the thoughts that come to mind when you see the image on the left. And don't be afraid to scream now. What do you see? Fresh, yum, sweet, right? If I come into the room with a basket of strawberries, how many of you now starts to salivate? Your mouth starts to water. I take a strawberry and I put it under your nose. What do you smell? I take a knife and I slice that strawberry in half and put that under your nose. Now what do you smell? Here's how all the sensations remain the same. You see a strawberry and it looks like a strawberry. You smell a strawberry and it smells like a strawberry. And you take a bite out of a strawberry and surprise, surprise, it tastes like a strawberry. Exactly, it's a strawberry. But what thoughts come to mind when you see the image on the right? You know, when I go to a classroom, they get half the kids and say, oh, food, animal, pig, yogurt, babe. So half the class will see an animal, and the other half of the class will see bacon, sausage, ham, pig, sweet pork, and hot dog. They'll see a food. It's one or the other. You're either seeing an animal or you're seeing food. Now, what would happen if I took one of the pigs living, brought him into the room right here, and put him right in front of you? Does that change it? Now what do we see? And I mean, what would we think if one of us got up and started chewing on the pig? Very normal. If I come into the room with a pig in my arm, how many of you now starts to salivate? Right? If I took a knife and I sliced that pig in half and put that under your nose, now what do you smell? You smell the stench of death. You smell a rotting corpse, bacteria, decomposing flesh. You see, there's a process involved, and I'm here today to show you that process of how you convert this animal into this product. Why should it be kept a secret? Why should we not know what we're participating in and what we're putting in our body? Now, let's make the situation slightly more realistic. If I were to put a pig on this side of the room, living in a butcher's knife on the side of that room, I mean, how many people would be willing to pick up a knife and take the life of that animal? It's very rare, right? And if somebody did that, that's all right. But how many people in this room would try to stop that person from doing that? Right? Would we try that? Of course. That's compassion. That is the greatest quality of the human race. There's no other species on this planet that has that level of compassion to extend to all living beings. But if you would stop somebody from killing a pig in front of you and then go home and have this for breakfast, that's called hypocrisy. Just because it comes in a masonry package all dressed up in the supermarket, just because you didn't take the knife and shove it through their jugular, just because you didn't get blood on your clothes, and just because you didn't hear their screams doesn't mean you didn't participate in the killing. Every time we buy this product, we are supporting somebody else doing what we ourselves wouldn't want to do, what we ourselves wouldn't want to see, and what we ourselves wouldn't want to hear. Now, if you still see bacon sauce in the hand when I bring a pig into the room, what happens when I change it? Oh, it's the common response. Now, I've never heard anybody say yum. You've never seen dog food, hot dog. So, why not? Why don't we see a food? We've been accustomed to view this animal as our pet. The cultural story for us is, this is your pet. In another culture, certain parts of the world, they eat cats and dogs. That's their culture. That's their story they've been told. How do you feel about that? A lot of people think it's disgusting. Right? I imagine every one of you probably thinks it's disgusting, your dog. Why would it be disgusting to eat this animal and not disgusting to eat this animal? Why would it be wrong to eat this animal and right to eat this animal? And most importantly, why would it be wrong to kill this animal and right to kill this animal? Culture. It's culture. It's the story. It's the matrix that we've been told. But culture is just a story. That's all it is. It's just make-believe. What I'm concerned with is what is natural to the human species. Because every culture has a different story. So let's take a 3-year-old from any country in the world, and you put that 3-year-old in a room, and you line up 5 animals in front of that 3-year-old. A pig, a dog, a cow, a cat, and a chicken. You think the 3-year-old's going to know which one to eat or which one to pet? What's the 3-year-old most likely going to do? Or try to do? Play with them all. He's going to try to play with them all. The 3-year-old has to be taught, no. Don't play with him. Eat him. Play with him. Pet him. That's what we were taught. We didn't choose our diet. Our diet is a learned behavior. We were raised to perceive this animal as your pet and this animal as your food. If you don't walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a dog's head, what would you do? You take action. At the very least, you call the police because you recognize there's a violation of this animal's right to be free from harm. Now, if you were to walk outside right now and you saw somebody taking a baseball bat to a pig's head, would your emotional response not be the exact same thing? Of course. Because the question for you is, what's the difference? What's the difference between the two? Right? Is there a difference? You might think one is cuter than the other, but that says more about you than anything about these two animals. A lot of kids will say, well, the nose looks different. I say, they both got a nose to smell. Some kids will say, well, he's got hooves and he's got paws. I say they both got feet to walk and run. Some kids say, well, his ears are going up and his ears are flapping. They both got 2 ears to hear. They both got 2 eyes to see. They both got a heart to beat and a mind to think. And the reason why we would take action for both of them is because we recognize the equality between them, not the difference. Any difference is insignificant. The similarities, though, are striking. We know they're equal. Yet every time we sit down for a meal, we create that separation. We create that inequality.
Powerful video, no? So how does that choice come? Because of the thinking, conditioning. But we let somebody else do it and then eat that as a product. So as a human being grows in sensitivity, one will automatically make choices at the physical level also. And you know, non-vegetarian food is one of the biggest causes of global warming. So even environmentally, it is not a very environment-friendly option at all. Spiritually, creates more negativity in the mind. For a spiritual seeker who is trying to create sattva guna more and more, that's why the preference is for sattvic food, vegetarian food, etc. So ahimsa at the mental level will help us in harmony in relationships, harmony within myself, at the same time harmony with the world outside also. So 2 qualities we have seen. Satyam we will take up in our next class.
We have turned vegans in more than a year now. But what is happening is, though we believe we should not use dairy products, when we do any puja, so they insist on ghee if you're doing havan or anything. So it is very hard to, get that out of the system. Food is concerned, we are out of it. But even though we don't want to use ghee and all in puja, but our parents are not yet ready to take that out. So does the scripture actually say that you're supposed to use this when you're doing puja, or?
Of course they say use it. See, the point is that when India has been an agricultural society, and if you see the way we treat the animals, Cow is worshipped here. One doesn't exploit the animal. Cows, bulls, both are worshipped. Problem is not with the product. Problem is with the treatment of the animal. If the animal has been treated sensitively, caringly, the product can be used. There's nothing wrong. What is wrong in using the ghee if the cow has been fed properly, taken care of properly, everything? That's what I'm saying. So then the choice is to use from such places where the cow is treated well. And there are such places available today. Because somewhere you will have to make that adjustment. No? Suppose you don't use ghee to light the lamp or for havan. You have to use some other fuel. And ghee, so they have a scientific reason also behind that. The ghee and then the samagri, why specific samagri is put in the havan, it creates that type of environment, that vibration, all that is also there. So the choice is then to use from such a place where we understand that, okay, in these places they are treated properly. Try and source products from such places. Because it's not required to eliminate it completely. The scriptures as of now have never said don't use this, because the scriptures have also ensured that the animal is treated sensitively and the human being who is taking care also is educated to take care of the animal. Now with the changing times, if people are exploiting the animals, we need to stop that exploitation. For that we are saying we will not use the product, so which is understandable. So then we need to find from somewhere else a source from where we can get, like if we know that vegetables are having a lot of pesticides, etc., then what are we doing? We are trying to source from an organic source. Like that we need to find sources like that. And some places where actually violence, one has become more sensitive now, one stops that also. Like silk. The wearing of silk was very common for any religious ritual. But as human being has grown in more sensitivity now that insistence is not there, because you have to actually kill the worm for it to get that silk out. So then not required. So that is how the culture is also adapting. One has to change with those times. In this case, there is a specific reason why ghee and the specific samagri is required. So then if we can source from a different place where cruelty is not there to the animal, then that would serve the purpose. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.